Hello, friends. I'm sure you've all heard of the ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman. But how many of you have heard of ghost trains? These trains don't follow a schedule. They appear out of nowhere and then go back to where? Some people claim that they go back to other dimensions. Others say it's a time loop, while there are some who believe that those are phantoms from the other world. These trains don't stop at stations and don't take passengers. If someone were to decide to jump onto the passing train, they would disappear together with the ghost train. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about some of these trains. They say that this train carries the souls of the dead, taking them from the world of the living to the afterlife. If a living person got on it, they would either be thrown out of the car back to the station, or they would go missing, and their body would later be found elsewhere. I'm talking about the Swedish ghost train, the Silver Arrow. There's a Kimlingi district in the city of Stockholm, which was rural and sparsely populated just 50 years ago. The authorities decided to urbanize the area and started building houses there, as well as a subway line, the Blue Line, which passed through the district. However, the local residents were very much opposed to the construction, so the subway station remained unfinished. Nevertheless, the Blue Line was opened in 1977, but the trains didn't stop at that particular station. Soon, people passing by the Kimlingi station started talking about a mysterious train. The ghost train was nicknamed the Silver Arrow. It came from the side of the working subway line, stopped at the Kimlingi station, and then continued on the Blue Line and disappeared. By the way, not a single real train has ever stopped at this station. Eyewitnesses said that whenever this train stopped, they could see translucent figures of passengers or zombie-like figures with sunken eye sockets on the train. There were also stories about those who dared to try and get on the train. According to them, as soon as they got on the train, they immediately found themselves back at the empty station. However, according to their watches, they missed a period of time of up to several hours, but no one remembered what happened during that missing time. When several people mysteriously disappeared in the area, rumors spread that those people boarded the ghost train and ended up being taken to the afterlife. There were also stories of passengers boarding the ghost train and then being found dead elsewhere on the subway. Researchers suggested that a possible explanation for all the legends and rumors about the Silver Arrow could be the 8-car train made of shiny, unpainted aluminum. The train was very clean and didn't have any advertising or other posters on it. It was used on the Stockholm subway as a test train and also as a backup train in certain circumstances. Because it wasn't painted green like the other trains on the Stockholm subway, many passengers were struck by how creepy it looked compared to what they were used to. Considering that it was only one train and it wasn't used often, it could rarely be seen by subway users, and theoretically, it could really be the train featured in all those mystical stories. However, this silver train was only used by the Stockholm subway until 1996, after which it was decommissioned. But the eerie stories about the ghost train continue to this day. This suggests that there is something other than just the experimental subway train. An alleged mystical event happened during the summer of 1911, when a new train left Rome with 100 passengers on board, all of whom belonged to Italy's upper class. The train disappeared without a trace during its journey. It never reached its destination. Railroad workers believed that the train got damaged on the way. After the police and rescuers started to search for the train, they realized that it was nowhere to be found, and there weren't any traces of a crash site either. They went around all the tunnels, ravines, rails. There was not a single trace of the train. Thus, it seemed that the Zanetti train had simply disappeared, but they did manage to find some clues. The police found 2 people near a tunnel who were on the Zanetti train. The passengers shocked the public with their story. One of the passengers said that there was nothing special about the trip until the train reached the dark tunnel. That's when something strange started happening. There was some white fog inside the train. The passenger started panicking and couldn't understand what was going on. Then the lights went out. One of the men who managed to survive simply jumped out of the train, as he was lucky enough to have been right by the door. When he regained consciousness, there was no trace of the train anywhere. An eyewitness said the train went into the tunnel, but never got out of it. The rescuers examined the tunnel very carefully. The tunnel in Italy where the entire train went missing was very simply built. It was just a kilometer-long pipe with rails. In other words, the train that went inside should have been able to get out without much difficulty. However, the Zanetti was nowhere to be found. In 1926, a relative of one of the missing passengers was looking through archival documents and discovered an unusual report. It spoke of 104 Italians who appeared in Mexico out of nowhere and claimed to have arrived by train straight from Rome. However, the craziest part was that the report was dated 1845. The Italians were considered crazy and placed in a mental institution to be supervised by doctors, as evidenced by the records left by the psychiatrist of the clinic. Eyewitnesses noted that neither their belongings nor the clothes of the Italians corresponded to their time, and some of those things have survived to this day. In particular, a snuff box with the inscription 1907. Later, in different years and parts of the world, people claimed that they saw a 3-car train rushing down abandoned rails. The train appeared out of nowhere and disappeared, also into nowhere. An equally mysterious ghost train was caught on a CCTV camera of a railway station in the Chinese district of Baotao. The ghost train was caught on camera on March 10, 2018, and when the station workers saw the footage, they were shocked. The sound of the horn of the approaching train was clearly audible in the video, but the train itself was almost invisible. Only the headlights could be clearly discerned, while all the other parts of the train were almost transparent. The ghost train stood at the station for several seconds, as if waiting for passengers to get on and off, and then it moved off and left the station. It can be seen that it was a fairly large train. It had about 10 cars, and all of them were translucent. Some people believe that this train came from the parallel world, while others believed that it was the result of military experiments. Skeptics suggested that it could have just been an overlay over one recording on another. A mysterious light has been appearing over the railroad tracks north of the Canadian village of St. Louis, Saskatchewan, for over 8 decades. It moves up and down and changes color and brightness. This inexplicable phenomenon is called the St. Louis Light or St. Louis Ghost Train. There are several theories that try to explain the appearance of these lights. According to one theory, the lights belong to a phantom train, and another theory claims that it's the ghost of the drunken engineer who lost his head after falling under the wheels of a passing train. He is believed to be going down the tracks with a flashlight, trying to find it. A few years back, a group of talented students from one of the local schools seem to have found a plausible explanation for this phenomenon. Their research led them to the conclusion that the reason behind these lights was an optical phenomenon called diffraction, a light that passes through small gaps, such as gaps between trees growing on either side of the tracks, can increase the size. In other words, car headlights are usually difficult to see from a distance, but it's possible due to diffraction. However, there is a problem with this theory. The light was visible long before cars appeared in this region, so the researchers still have some work to do. And we'll see you next time.